Hey everyone, welcome to our explainer. If you're anywhere near the real estate market right now, you already know it's a total roller coaster of low inventory and fierce competition. But today, we're unpacking a massive potential shift. We're talking about the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, what is literally being called the most significant housing reform package Congress has seen in 30 years. Naturally, whenever we see sweeping legislation like this, the immediate question is, how will this actually affect you? It's one thing to read catchy headlines about congressional bills, but it's entirely another to figure out how those huge macroeconomic policies are going to hit your own wallet, your neighborhood, and your future plans. Whether you're looking to buy your first home, sell a long-time family property, or even if you're just renting and keeping an eye on the market, this legislation is designed to completely change the rules of the game. So, we're going to break down exactly what this means step by step using just the core facts. Okay, let's dive into this. At its absolute core, this landmark bill has a dual focus. It's aiming to fix the severe national housing shortage while simultaneously overhauling real estate taxes and large-scale investments. It's basically a comprehensive approach, trying to tackle supply and demand all at once. Here is our agenda for today. First, the 4 million home shortage. Second, boosting new home construction. Third, massive capital gains tax cuts. Fourth, stopping Wall Street investors. And finally, what this means for you. All right, Section 1, the 4 million home shortage, the core problem driving the new legislation. 4 million? I mean, that is just a staggering national deficit, right? We're not talking about a minor market fluctuation here. This is a massive structural lack of supply. This 4 million unit gap is the precise target the 21st Century Road to Housing Act is aiming to hit. Moving on to Section 2, boosting new home construction, cutting red tape for builders. So, you know how incredibly slow building can be right now? This legislation focuses heavily on making the actual building process a whole lot easier. The law is designed to spur new home construction by directly cutting the bureaucratic red tape for builders. Think about all the zoning approvals, the permitting delays, and the regulatory hoops that just slow down development and drive up costs before a shovel even hits the dirt. By streamlining these processes, the goal is to get builders working faster and more efficiently, removing those artificial barriers that have really choked off our housing supply for years now. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of the solution. By cutting that red tape, projections suggest this could add 2.5 million additional housing units over the next 10 years. That would close more than half of the national shortage. Sure, it's a long-term play, but it represents a massive, sustained injection of new inventory into neighborhoods all across the nation. Let's hit Section 3, massive capital gains tax cuts, maximizing profit for sellers. Okay, if you own a home right now and you've been on the fence about selling, listen up, because this is huge. Lawmakers are proposing a massive capital gains tax cut. Right now, when you sell your primary residence, you're shielded from paying taxes on a certain amount of your profit. Well, lawmakers are looking to dramatically change the math on that by literally doubling the home tax exemption. The logic here is super simple. If you allow people to keep more of their hard-earned equity, they are much more likely to list their homes. And boom, that immediately frees up existing housing inventory for buyers. And this brilliantly illustrates just how big of a deal this is. For single sellers, the new rules would allow you to keep up to $500,000 in profits completely tax-free. And for couples filing jointly, that tax-free profit exemption becomes a staggering $1 million. Just imagine that for a second. You sell a long-held family home and keep $1 million in pure profit without owing a single dime in federal capital gains taxes. That is a massive financial incentive to finally put a for sale sign in the front yard. All right, Section 4, stopping Wall Street investors, leveling the playing field for buyers. The source material notes that the law focuses heavily on, and I quote, limiting Wall Street money from purchasing homes in bulk as investment vehicles. Over the last few years, a major source of frustration for everyday families trying to buy a house has been losing out to all-cash offers from massive corporate entities. These large firms sweep in, buy up single-family homes in bulk, and turn them into huge rental portfolios. This bill steps in partially to change those market dynamics by placing some very strict regulatory fences around corporate purchasing power. So the crucial point is this hard cap right here, 350. The new law outright prohibits any investors from purchasing more than 350 homes, period. This is a definitive line drawn in the sand to stop the whole mega landlord trend in its tracks. By capping institutional ownership at 350 units per investor, the legislation aims to leave the vast majority of the remaining housing inventory available for individual families and traditional buyers. It's effectively leveling the playing field and keeping neighborhood homes in the hands of the actual community.
And that brings us to Section 5, what this means for you, next steps and questions.
Because this law touches so many different aspects of the real estate transaction, the source outlines some really practical next steps if you want to navigate this shifting landscape effectively. Step 1. Call with your specific questions. Every single situation is unique, especially when we start talking about those new tax exemptions. Step 2. Drop a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts or concerns about what's happening in your local market. And step 3, tag a friend who is thinking about selling. Seriously, if you know someone who's been hesitant to list their home because of tax fears, they absolutely need to know about that new $1 million exemption for couples.
Which leaves us with our final, ultimate question. We've just walked through the mechanics of the most significant housing reform in 30 years. It attacks the 4 million home shortage by cutting red tape to build 2.5 million units. It heavily incentivizes current owners to sell with unprecedented doubled tax exemptions, and it forcibly restricts Wall Street bulk buying to just 350 homes per investor. But looking at your own neighborhood, your own budget, and your own life plans, will the 21st Century Road to Housing Act actually fix the market for you? It's the most important question of all, and one we are going to be watching incredibly closely as these sweeping changes take effect. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.